today's episode is the final episode of season 2 of Show Up and Be Heard before we break for Christmas. And it's a little bit of a different one where I take a moment to pause and reflect on everything that this year has brought, both the wins and the challenges, the highs and the lows. But this isn't just about my year, it's about you too, as I share the highs that had me doing a happy dance, the lows that made me take a step back and cry, and the lessons that shaped my next steps. I'll also be dropping some nuggets you can take into your own business and life. We'll chat about why celebrating your wins, both big and small, matters, how embracing change can open up exciting new opportunities, and why it's okay to set boundaries, even when it feels really hard. So if you are ready to reflect, refocus, and get inspired for the year ahead, then stick around. But before we dive in, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to tune in to Show Up and Be Heard, the podcast that exists to help women like you simplify your business and your life so that you can stop feeling so overwhelmed. I am your host, Becci McAvoy, owner and founder of Be Heard Socials, and I am an award-winning social media marketer who runs the award-winning Boss Your Socials Club that has recently won Female-Led Community of the Year for 2024. Spoiler alert for one of my highs of this year. If you want to cut through the noise and BS and get practical, actionable advice tailored specifically to make social media marketing accessible and easy to understand, or if you want to be part of a supportive community where women entrepreneurs can feel connected and inspired to achieve their dreams, then keep listening because you are absolutely in the right place. To be the first to find out when new episodes go live and to get more tips like the ones you hear in this podcast, make sure you join my email community through the link in the show notes. All right then, let's get started with the final episode of season 2. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe we have made it here already to the end of season 2 of Show Up and Be Heard and almost to the very end of 2024. I hate to be that person, but I'm old now. Like, where has this year gone? Final episode of season 2. Thank you for being here, everybody. Whether this is the first episode you're listening to, or you have listened from the start, or you dip in and out, I am so grateful for you. And like I said, today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I guess you can think of it as our end of year heart to heart, wrapped up in a festive bow. Whilst I'm sat here in my Christmas jumper, it is going to be our chance to reflect on the highs, the lows, and everything in between. So grab a cup of something warm, whether it be a Ribena or an adult's drink like a tea or coffee, settle in and let's have a chat. Okay, right. So 2024 has been such a mixed bag of a year, which, you know, I think is really the case for every year. And I'm sure you will all feel the same probably about your own years. It has been full of milestones, big decisions, and moments of real growth. But it's also had its challenges as well, because, again, I think that's much like every year, isn't it? Life and business are like that, aren't they? They are messy, complicated, and beautiful all at once. I spent a bit of time before this episode. If you follow me over on social media, you'll know that I do a check-in on my goals every month. And it was such a nice thing to go through and make a little bit of a list of like my highs and lows. So that's what I've done with this episode. And as we get to the end of the year, and I always feel really reflective around this time of year, I'm sort of reflecting on them a little bit more deeply than I did when I posted them on social media. So let's start with the positives, because honestly, there have been so many things to celebrate this year, and I feel very, very grateful and blessed that that is the case. So first up, I'm going to talk about Boss Your Socials Club because it is my baby and I love it. I absolutely love it. What a year it has been for Boss Your Socials Club. We celebrated its first birthday, which blows my mind. And I welcome so many amazing, amazing new members. I reckon, like, I tried to count it up and I didn't have it exactly. I should probably be better on that for next year. But around 20 new members we welcomed into Boss Your Socials Club, which is unreal. It might not be those Insta-worthy numbers that you see, but I am made up with it because it's not about the numbers for me. It's about the people that came into the community, and every one of those people have added something to it. They're just amazing, and they've made it an even better place, which I didn't think was possible. Like I said, we also celebrated the first birthday, which meant that the founding members who believed in me enough when I started this crazy idea to sign up for a year had the choice to whether to sign up for another year, and 10 of them did. And that was 10 out of 11 founding members. Loved it so much in the first year that they signed up for a second year, which I was going to say, I don't know what the percentage of that bit would be. Is that 90%? I don't know. 10? I feel like I should know that, but it's a high percentage. Like 10 out of 11 members signed up for another year and renewed to stay in with us, which honestly fills my heart with absolute joy. Knowing people find so much value and community in what we've built together is just incredible. And like I said earlier, it's not about those numbers. It's about the people that stayed. Like, they add so much to the community, and I'm just so very grateful to them. Also, the club kept growing. I launched a beta version of the growth tier, which I'm sure you will hear more about in the future. At the moment, it was exclusive to current members, and 18 of those current members joined the growth tier, and the feedback has been absolutely amazing. We've done one full round of what's involved in the growth tier, and it's given me so much energy to keep building and refining what we do. And I am really excited in the new year to launch that more publicly as well, because like I said, we're getting really great results from it. The feedback's been brilliant. And again, 18 of the main club members joined, and that filled my heart with joy, because I was thinking, if I could get 5 to 10 people in there, we can give it a go to see if it would work. But the 18 people wanted to, like, love Bossy Socials Club so much, and trusted me so much with their socials. They wanted to take this next step with me. Was just, oh, I feel like I've got like little goosebumps saying it. Like, it was just so rewarding and so fantastic. And a good chunk of those members, at least half of them, signed up for a year in the growth tier, which, like, that kind of trust in me, I can't put into words. That's probably why I'm not doing it very well, but it was just wonderful. So yeah, it's been an amazing year for Bossy Socials Club, and it was topped off, obviously, by being the year that I won Female-Led Community of the Year 2024 at the Digital Women Awards. That moment was such a proud one for me, because I started this club with a big dream of helping people, and seeing it recognised like that was really special. And I have a reel of the moment that the award was announced pinned to the top of my Instagram profile, and it's so funny because I went not expecting to win it. And I know people say that, but I genuinely didn't expect to win it, to the point that I didn't really listen. Like, I was obviously listening, but to what you had to do if you won. So on the video, you can see I'm like, oh my God. And I get up and I go in the wrong direction because I hadn't listened to where I was meant to go. So it was a very unreal moment that I genuinely wasn't expecting. But not only that, I got nominated for 4 other awards as well. And what's been so special about this is I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with business awards, because some of them are sort of like seeped in BS for me. Like, you have to pay to be a part of them, but you can nominate yourself, which I don't think is a bad thing all in all. But yeah, I've always sort of wondered about the legitimacy of them. But every single award that I've been nominated for this year, I've been nominated for by members. And that, again, like, even if I hadn't won them, it just feels incredible. I also got nominated for Positivity Award by one of my members, which is amazing. I'm recording this at the beginning of December, and the awards are in a few days, so I don't know if I've won it yet. Again, I don't expect to, but I just feel very grateful that the people I've helped believe in me that much, that they want to put me forward for things like that and take their time to put me forward for it. So yeah, it has been a hell of a year for Bossy Socials Club, and I'm so proud of everything that I've achieved with it, but really that we've achieved with it. And I am so grateful to be surrounded by so many incredible women. In fact, recently I ran a flash offer where you could have your first month for a £5. I'm not going to be doing that again for a while. It was a flash offer, not one of those people that just does offers all the time. But I had a couple of people sign up, and they did their first month, and then they signed up for a year, which blew my mind. Yeah, it blew my mind. One of them was brand new into sort of my world. I don't really like my world, but my world. And one of them had been following me for a while, and introducing them into the club has been incredible, because again, they've added so much to it. I just feel very lucky and very grateful. So yeah, outside of the club, I've also had some pretty exciting opportunities, which have been wonderful. I spoke on more podcasts and in more memberships than ever before, which I absolutely loved. Sharing my journey, hearing from other brilliant business owners is such a privilege. And a very special highlight was speaking at an online summit where Amy Porterfield and Michael Hyatt were the keynote speakers. That was I guess it was a bit of a pinch me moment because, like, I never thought I'd be on a stage with those people. And I mean, I wasn't on a stage with those people because I think you can make it sound like you were. Like, they still don't know who I am. But although Michael Hyatt did reply to me afterwards when I sent him a message because his talk was incredible. But yeah, it's not like they know who I am by any means, but that felt very, very nice that I was considered as somebody who had the expertise and the knowledge to be able to speak alongside a lineup like that. So that was really wonderful as well. And of course, I have to mention this podcast. Launching it this year has been one of my absolute favorite things. Honestly, I genuinely love it. It is a lot of hard work, like a lot of hard work, but it's so worth it. I absolutely love it. And it got delayed. I was meant to start it earlier in the year. I didn't launch it until June. But the point is, I did launch it, and it has been a fantastic experience, genuinely. Seeing it hit 2,000 downloads feels surreal. And I've got to speak to so many amazing women. I've got to share knowledge in a way that I've never been able to before. And I'm so grateful to each and every one of you who have tuned in, shared episodes, or sent me messages about how it's helped you, or sent me messages saying, like, I've had some really lovely messages recently about saying thank you for almost having the permission to do social media your way. And that's exactly what I wanted from the podcast. So that's been one of my real highlights. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes in 2025. 2024 was also about big changes in my business. I did a lot, not all of which I'm going to go into here because it's probably not the appropriate forum to do it so publicly. But one of my big ones was that I gave notice to all my monthly retainer social media management clients and podcast repurposing clients. And I officially stopped offering social media management as a service. It was a really scary decision, but it has created space for new services that better align with how I want to work and serve my clients and who I want to work with, most importantly. And it's also freed up so much of my time because my business has always been about creating the life that I want, which kind of leads me on to my next real high from this year. And I think this has got to be up there with one of the top ones because, yeah, again, I cannot believe. I honestly feel so lucky and so grateful that this is my life. And this year, I've made some really big lifestyle changes too. I reduced my working days to 4 days a week as of September, and I've managed to, by and large, stick to that. And where I haven't stuck to it, it's been out of choice. And the days I haven't stuck to it, it's been because I've been working on things I'm too excited not to work on. I've been working that whole cliche of on my business, not in my business. I also shifted to working school hours as a norm and took 3.5 weeks off in the summer to spend proper uninterrupted time with my kids. I have taken not just that 3.5 weeks in the summer holidays actually, and over August, I have taken every single school holiday off completely and ad hoc days here and where I wanted to. We've even managed 2 family holidays, one of which again I took another week off for, which was to Euro Disney for my 40th. And seeing the kids' faces light up there is a memory that I will treasure forever. That has been on, I mean, my dream was to go to Florida Disney for my 40th. That was a bit out of the realms of financial budget. But the fact that I could still go to Disney and take the kids there was absolutely unreal because, yeah, those memories will genuinely stay with me forever. And I say it like I'm just taking annual leave whenever I want, but the fact that I've managed to make the scary decisions and create the business that I want to create, that I can have more freedom and time and flexibility, has been absolutely incredible. Now, that hasn't come without hard choices. I have reduced the amount that I earn. So it's checking in with myself. And something I really want to say with you is success being subjective isn't just a fantastic thing to say on social media to try and sort of bring people in. It really should be subjective. And the points that I've made these decisions, I've had to choose what I will sacrifice. And it's not that I have necessarily I've made the right decisions for me. They won't be the right ones for everybody. And I do appreciate that. But if you are starting to feel unhappy, or you're just not enjoying stuff. Remember that you didn't start your own business to become your own worst boss. If you're not enjoying what you do, think about how you can not do it. I had started to get really unhappy doing the done for you stuff for various different reasons. And it was terrifying stopping it because it was a relatively stable income. I mean, nothing stable income. But the things that have come from it have been incredible. And the thing that I told myself was that it doesn't mean I'm done with it forever. It just means I'm done with it for now. And actually, after I announced that I was stopping the done for you stuff, I had an old client come back who I adored. She has probably been my most favorite client I've ever worked with for many, many reasons. And she came back and was like, oh no, I know we'd stopped working together, but I really wanted to work with you again. And I was able to create her a package at work for me. So I am working with her, doing a little bit of done for you stuff, but predominantly content strategy stuff. So yeah, just remember, it's your business, your choice. You can do what you want with it. And if things don't work out, it's not a failure. You've tried it, it hasn't worked, and you can go back to what you were doing or try something different. So yeah, that's been a really huge one for me. And that's been the biggest one for me, actually, to allow me probably to achieve all of the other things. I would say that the first half of this year, most of the stuff that I'm sharing with you has come in the second half of this year. And the first half of this year was about making really big and scary decisions that I genuinely, at one point, I remember explaining it to someone as, I don't know if I'm burning my business to the ground or about to do the best thing I've ever done. And it's like, well, try it and see. And if it doesn't work, pick it back up or try something else. And I honestly think it's opened the doors to allowing me to have the successes that I've had and giving me the space to have the successes that I've had, but also giving me the headspace and the peace. Like, I think peace of mind is the best return on investment that you'll ever get, and it will make you so much more productive. And making lots of those difficult decisions that I made early in the year that were really difficult at the time caused a lot of stress, a bit of anxiety, tears, and all kinds. I wouldn't be reeling off this list of successes if I hadn't done those things and made decisions to stop certain things that I stopped earlier this year. It has also been a year of pushing myself out my comfort zone, not just professionally, but personally as well. I have ticked off some personal goals, like going wild swimming and climbing a mountain. I climbed a blooming mountain. I am so proud of myself. It was so hard. They were on my 40 before 40 list, and then I turned 40. I moved them over to a 50 before 50 list, which sounds terrifying because 50 seems so far off. But yeah, I ticked 4 things off my 50 before 50 list now, I think, like I said, including wild swimming, going on a retreat with people I predominantly didn't know, and meeting new people that I'd never normally meet in my normal walks of life, and climbing a mountain. It was so hard, like so hard, and I struggled. I am not the kind of person that's like, oh my God, now I need to climb every mountain. It's a song, isn't it? I won't try that. I'm not that kind of person. I haven't necessarily got the bug for that, but I would like to try and do it again because I'd like to see if I could find it a little bit easier. Yeah, I've managed to tick that off, which was incredible. And I'm really, really proud of myself for. And perhaps the biggest joy of this year has come from connecting with so many amazing new businesses by putting myself out there and going to incredible events and networking opportunities and things like that. A great one was obviously Atomicon. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go next year, but I will link to it in the show notes because it is such an amazing event. And I met so many brilliant people there. But I've also been on loads of other exciting stuff. I joined at the end of last year, the amazing Being Freelance community. I will also link to that in the show notes as well because Steve is wonderful. I have not been anywhere near as active in there as I would like to have been in the last few months or so, just because life has been lifing. And I, like I said, I've been working 4 days a week, school hours, and taking days off when I want to. So I've had to prioritize some things, but Steve does some wonderful things. And I've been to some in-person meetups as part of his community as well. I went to Leeds and did lino printing, where I quite infamously sliced my finger open, humiliated myself in front of a whole load of people I didn't know, but did what I do best and laughed at myself and cracked on and carried on and made some amazing connections in the process. I also did some in-person networking with leading ladies in business, which was wonderful. I joined too late in the year, so they stopped it around the summer and they're starting up next year, which I will definitely be going again. And also not just connection in business, but I also volunteered regularly at the kids' school. I helped out with their swimming lessons, helped out on school trips. And I know that is some people's worst nightmare, but I absolutely loved it. I really, really loved it. And I love that I get to do stuff like that. And I even delivered an in-person Q&A at a local event, which I like. if you'd have asked me this time last year whether I'd have been brave enough to do that, I'm not sure I'd have said yes. So it's been absolutely brilliant. And I want to give a massive shout out to the lovely Alex, who is a member in Boss Your Socials Club and runs Inner Bliss Life Coaching. I will tag to her Instagram in the show notes as well, who hosted that event, because she is wonderful. They have started to, she used to run it alongside a lovely lady called Susie, but they're going to be running in different format in the new year as well. So I will link to Alex's Instagram so that you can go and check it out and connect with her and see what she is up to. But yeah, so I've done loads of connecting, which has been wonderful, because I was really lacking that last year. Last year, I really struggled with loneliness. And I needed to, I've joined other communities this year as well and put myself out there just to meet new people, because like I said, I struggled with it last year, and I feel like I'm sort of sweeping over it. But it was quite horrible at times last year and got me really low. So every one of those experiences has reminded me how much I love meeting and supporting other business owners, connecting with people, and just feeling that connection. It's really important to me, and I have loved it. But of course, it hasn't all been smooth sailing, despite, like, I've got a lovely list of wins there, but it hasn't all been smooth sailing. There's been many, many lows as well. And I believe it's really important to share some of the struggles too, because none of us gets through life without a few bumps along the way. And I think anybody listening to this is probably at a stage of life where stuff happens and there's nothing that we can do about it in terms of the age we are. And we need to sort of put things in our toolbox and learn to be able to cope with these things better when they come up. Now, I'm not going to go into as massive detail about some of these lows, not because they haven't had them and it's all been wonderful and brilliant, but just because they're not always my story to share. But I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of them. So my word of the year was health, and my health and fitness definitely took a backseat for much of the year. And I didn't spend as much time as outdoors as I wanted to. That was something I wanted to do more of this year. Exercise absolutely fell off a cliff after I'd done really well with PT last year. But the PT that I was working with at the time went off on maternity leave, and I just didn't do anything. It just absolutely fell off a cliff. And I could see it in, when I say the first half of this year, it wasn't, lots of the good stuff happened in the second half of this year. Not that no good stuff happened in the first half. My health and fitness played a massive part in that. And as annoying as it is to say, it is true. It does make a difference to how you feel and how you show up. But I'm really proud of myself that in the last 2 months, I have started with a new PT. Her name is Beth, and she is absolutely wonderful. And I need to give a shout out to Kim, Kim's Hairdressing on Instagram, for recommending her to me. I will tag Kim in the show notes as well as Beth, because if you are local, go and check her out. I've started PT with her like literally at the beginning of October, and I've turned it around. I'm ending the year feeling healthier and stronger than I have in years. I've already hit some of my goals, and it feels like such a massive win. I know I need to keep it up. I know it will be an up and down journey, and it's difficult. I don't think I'm ever going to be the kind of person who loves exercise, but I know I need it, and I know I need it to feel better. So you can stay tuned, because I do share this over on my social media. Go and follow me over on social media if you're interested in the behind the scenes of how I get on next year and whether I can keep it up. But I'm just really proud that I've consistently done PT again for the last couple of months, and I've got into exercising more regularly throughout the week, and most importantly, as well, I've really sorted out my diet in the last few weeks or so. Again, I know that's something that I'm going to need to keep up, and I know I struggle with that, but I'm ending the year strong, and I'm really proud of that and grateful for that. And shout out to Wendy for that, who I will link to the podcast episode that I did with her in the show notes, so you can go and check that out and find her to go and follow as well, because she runs He'll Start Nutrition, and she is absolutely wonderful. And pretty much everything I am doing with my nutrition right now comes down to Wendy and the things that she has taught me over the last few years that have been like planting little seeds in my brain. So yeah, although that's a low, I feel like I've taken action on that, and I'm ending the year on a high. I just need to keep it up. So we will see how I get on with that. Another low point, anxiety, if I'm honest, has been a pretty frequent visitor this year. And I often found myself overthinking decisions, making decisions later than I should have done because I was anxious or worried about them. And there were days where I felt like I was my own worst critic, questioning if I was doing enough or doing the right things, who I was going to upset, what impact that was going to have. And I overthought my decisions way, way too much. And I should have been bolder in making them earlier. However, I think everything does happen for a reason, and I did make those decisions, and I'm proud of myself for it. And I have stepped out of my comfort zone. The bigger area that I've struggled with my anxiety has been the things that have been completely out of my control, and I'm not going to go into them right now because I don't want to bring the mood of this podcast down or feed into your own anxieties, but a lot of them have been around world events and the unknown, and things that just scary things that are happening in the world and the way that the world is going. I do want to give a shout out to Biz Paul and Felicia Jones, I hope, is her surname, definitely Felicia. They host a podcast called Humans Exhaust Me, and I will link to that in the show notes because that has helped me as much as I possibly can stay on top of my anxiety. I've had to reduce the news take that I take in because, like, I'm no good to anybody if I'm an absolute anxious wreck. I want to be informed and I want to know what's going on in the world, and Humans Exhaust Me is one of the ways that I've been able to do that. So I will link to their podcast in the show notes, and I will also link to Biz Paul's Instagram account as well. Like I said, this is a bit of a all wrapped up in a festive bow, mostly feel good episode. I realise I'm talking about my lows at the moment, but I want to shout out the people that have helped me this year, and I'm not going to be able to mention them all. Absolutely not going to be able to mention them all, but they all the people that I have mentioned so far all run small businesses, so please go check them out, give them a follow. The reason I'm going to tag Biz Paul's Instagram in the show notes as well is he shares some really thoughtful stuff on there, and he's just started a very good reel series of things to think about and things around marketing that he's thinking about. And I really like it because what I really love about him is he challenges the way you think, and he's not telling you to think a certain way. He's just trying to get you to challenge what you think, basically. I've previously been to his Marketed Live conferences, which didn't run this year. I don't know if it's running next year, but they do exactly the same thing and they are absolutely excellent. So yeah, he has been one of the ways that I've been able to manage my anxiety basically around some of the world events. And also, there's an account called By Vicky Smith, who I'll tag in the show notes as well. Go check her out. She was previously a journalist, and she does a lot of work to try and bring together the headlines and break through the BS, which is a lot of what I do with social media, and to tell you what you need to know and what you don't need to know, and what's fear tactics and all that kind of stuff. And she is brilliant. She is another way that I've kept my mental health in check and my anxiety in check while still being able to be informed. However, like I said, anxiety there's probably my age as well, and many of the things I'm about to be, if not already going through. But it's been a lot this year and it's been hard to deal with. But I've dealt with it and I should be proud of myself on that. And the thing I'd say on that really is find ways to manage it because, you're no good to anybody. Don't listen to the people that say you have to respond to things in certain ways because you've got to do what's right for you. The one more, I guess, of the real challenges this year, and maybe the lows, if you're going to call them that. As a family, we faced a lot of health issues, which on various different levels with various different family members, which I'm not going to go into detail about here because that's their own personal stories. But I'm sure every family and everybody listening to that can relate to this in some form or another. Like I said earlier, we are kind of at a stage of life where that happens. The kids were poorly and I was unwell more often than I'd like, but that's probably because I was quite unhealthy, and hopefully I've turned that around a little bit. But also, and probably the absolute hardest part of this year was losing my beautiful nan. And I paused there a little bit. I do feel like I can talk about this now without crying. There was a point I absolutely couldn't. But yeah, halfway through the year, we lost my beautiful nan. And honestly, it was the hardest part of the year. She faced dementia and struggled with dementia throughout the last few years of her life. And it really is a cruel illness, and the grief hit me way harder than I was expecting. It absolutely floored me for way longer than I was expecting. And, you know, I get that grief's like that. It was just a bit of it's a funny one, dementia, and I won't go into this. Anybody that has faced it will know. I won't go into this in a lot of detail because I don't want to trigger anybody with it. But in lots of ways, you feel like you've already grieved them because you lose the person, and you feel like you'll be more prepared for the grief that you'll face when you do say your final goodbyes. And it floored me. I absolutely wasn't ready for it. I really struggled with it. But again, I took the time. I was kind to myself. Dramatic, maybe some may say, but I did spend some days in bed. And I watched trashy telly and did things that I needed. And I just want to put that out there as that reminder to be kind to yourself. You are human, and you need to feel your feelings, and you need to feel that hurt. And that is the way that I know that you can move through things quicker. And, you know, something like grief, and when you love someone as much as that, that's the price. Grief is the price you pay for love. When you love someone as much as that, it's never going to go away. But being able to feel your feelings really does help you move through it a little bit easier. I have absolutely, through those times, leaned on the love of my family and friends, and they were an absolute godsend. They were the reasons I got through it. I was going to say I spoke to my mum on the phone nearly every day. I do that anyway. But I am so very, very, very grateful for the support that I have around me. And whilst, you know, friendships and relationships are difficult as you get older, and they are certainly not in their quantities as much as they were when you were younger, they're definitely there in quality for me. And I'm so grateful for that. I would shout people out, but I would be terrified of missing somebody out because so many people have been wonderful this year. But if you are listening to this, you know who you are, and I could not have got through this year without you. So yeah, despite the hard times, I have really tried this year to lean into my word of the year, health. And when I started to put this podcast episode together, I felt like I'd really failed on that up until the last couple of months this year, where I started to take it seriously again. But what I actually realised, and I think I needed to do this work to get to this point, is that the big bulk of this year, my main area that I've been focusing on in health was mentally, and it meant setting boundaries and sticking to them even when it's been tough. Now, I am pretty good with boundaries. I have been good with boundaries in the past, but this year I've gone really hard and strong on them, and it has been really hard. It definitely wasn't easy. I have shed a lot of tears, felt a lot of guilt, and had many moments where I've doubted myself. I have no doubt that I've lost friendships over it and relationships, and that's been really, really, really tough to take. But it's been so important to put those boundaries in place, because whilst I'm really sad at some of the things that I might have lost through it, it's been so worth it. Prioritizing that element of my health has made me a better business owner, a better mum, and a better version of myself, and a better friend. And I genuinely think I feel happier and healthier than I have in years. And that is really, really wonderful. So I just want to encourage you to do the same. I think we can tiptoe around boundaries, and we're so worried, especially as women, about what impact that's going to have. It is difficult, but it's the healthiest thing you can do for yourself. And I'm really proud of myself for doing that, because it's helped me get through the really, really tough times, and the work that I've done on my mindset, those challenges that I've mentioned just now, and some that I haven't for reasons that I've explained. I've been able to move through those moments quicker. I've felt the pain whilst I felt them. I've been low, but I've picked myself up and moved through that moment quicker because of the things I've learned, the boundaries that I've put in place, and the mindset work that I've done on myself. And I know that sounds very woo and whatever, and I'm not that kind of person. You'll know that if you know me, but it's been really, really true. So looking ahead, as we head into the festive season, I want to encourage you to take a proper break. I have done that a lot this year, and I genuinely think my wins wouldn't have happened without it. Schedule your content if you can, tie up your loose ends, and then switch off. And if you don't get your whole to-do list done, don't worry, it will still be there waiting for you in January. The world isn't going to fall apart if you don't tick everything off. You have earned this break. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, you have earned a break in the form that it looks like for you. It doesn't mean you have to take the whole of the Christmas holidays off, but whatever is right for you. Rest, and come back more productive. Your business will be waiting for you in January, and you will come back stronger if you allow yourself the rest you need. I know that is the biggest lesson I have got from this year. I have done it more than ever, and I have probably, I would say, had my most successful successful year in business yet. So as we look into 2025, I'm not sharing my goals with you because another decision I made this year was that my business year is going to run April to April, to time with my financial year, but also to tie in with my energy and my trends and when I'm better doing things. I put a lot of pressure on myself in January and things can fall by the wayside. So I will be carrying on with some of my goals from this year, and I will be setting new goals come March next year, ready for my new business year, and new intentions personally and things like that as well. So for you, as you head into 2025, I would love you to make a promise to yourself not to fill your time just for the sake of being busy. Focus on what truly matters. There's no right or wrong answer to that. That can be business, personal life, family, whatever it is. The answer is unique to you. But focus on the things that bring you joy, align with your goals, and make you proud, because life is too short not to. So yeah, that's it. That's it from me on this episode. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I'd love to know some of your thoughts and reflections from this year, some of your highs and lows as well. Please come connect with me and let me know. A massive Merry Christmas, everybody. And I will be back with season 3 in January 2025. Thank you so much for listening to Show Up and Be Heard, but please don't go without telling me your name. I genuinely love meeting new people and making new connections. So if you don't already, I'd love it if you'd come find me on Instagram, LinkedIn or Facebook and drop me a message to say hello and let me know what you thought of the episode. The link to all my socials are in the show notes. And of course, if you enjoyed this episode or found it useful, then I'd really appreciate it if you could take just a few minutes to give it a review on whatever platform you are listening on, because every one I get really does make me do a little squeal and a big happy dance. Finally, more than anything else, please always remember, realizing that you're not actually meant to do this stuff alone is the first step to making it easier. So I'll see you next time.